Hey guys, Zomfox here, and it is time to do the Week 2 game picks for the 2024 United Football League season. Now, last week was overall pretty successful in terms of the picking. I ended up getting two of the games perfectly right, which we'll naturally show you later, as well as the fact that overall it was a pretty good week for betting aside from the last game. So now it is time to do my game picks for Week 2. Week 2 is a big deal, as every single team that won and every single team that lost is playing each other in a sense. Both games involving winning teams are naturally that. Two 1-0 teams going at it, and same for the losing teams. We have two games with 0-1 teams. So without further ado, let's get started with Saturday's game, which we start off with the 1-0 versus 1-0 matchup of the Brahmas versus Showboats. And naturally, these lines changed since I've made this. Potentially, this is being recorded, earlier than it's being posted. So if they've changed since then, note that my picks or my game score is essentially my pick for the spread in total. But without further ado, let's get started with the Brahmas Showboats. This is probably the most intriguing game overall. This is to see exactly how much did the Showboats actually gel, the little changes they're planning on making, mainly adding T-Will to the offense a lot more. Is it going to help their running game? Is their O-line going to play better? And of course, the Brahmas, was it a fluke? Were they legit? This is a very big question. And the fact is, the over-under being 40.5, not surprising. We didn't see a single game get the over last week. And then for the spread, the Brahmas being minus 2.5, not really super surprised. There's a lot of Brahmas fans out there. But this is a home game for the Showboats, which does it matter? We'll see. We've seen that, home field advantage really isn't a huge thing in the UFL. At least that's what we've seen before, aside from, very rare circumstances. So overall, what do I think? I think the Showboats win this game. I think the Showboats win this 22-16. The fact is that one of the Brahmas TDs was a fluke. It was a great play, but it was a fluke. It was the, Brad Wing to Alex Mullet pass. That is 6 points right there just from the TD itself. That's not going to happen this time. And the fact is, I think the defender's defense is a lot worse than we expected it to be. I think that was more so the defender's defense not being great. The Showboats defense, I think, is going to play a bit better than them. But the main reason I have the Showboats winning is because I think their offense is going to start gelling a lot more. The big issue for them is that they have a lot of players that, while are better than basically other players their position everywhere, they have a top 4 tight end, a top 4 quarterback, a top 4 receiver, a top 4 or offensive lineman. At least that's what we said before the season. This is a very good offense, but they have to gel together. And I think that having that week 1 to kind of get out some of the kinks, their O-line needs to play a bit better. They need to add T-Will to the running game. If they're able to do that, I think their offense can be a bit better, and I think they are able to put up 22 points. One of their touchdowns was a defensive touchdown, so I essentially think they're going to double their point total almost. But I think the Brahmas do keep it close and get 16. I think that we see Garbers regress a little bit. I think that the defenders didn't really know what to do. When a guy has very little film, it's kind of hard to, judge exactly what he's going to do. So I expect the Showboats to get the W in this one, but I will say of all the games, and I mean all of them, I think this is the one where if the other team were to win, I'd be the least shocked. I think that the Brahmas definitely have a good shot at winning this one, whereas all the other games, the team I'm picking, I'm very confident in saying is going to win. This one I'm the least confident in, but I'm still saying that I think the Showboats get the W. It's going to be a good game. I think this is probably the best game of the week, but I'm going to pick them. Now the next game is, of course, the Renegades versus the Battlehawks. This is a big one. Look, two teams that are 0-1, one team that is feeling very slighted in the Renegades. Everybody had them as a middle-of-the-pack team, including me. And then they lost in week 1, and a bunch of people are now saying that they're the second worst team in the league, despite the fact that they played as Stallions. Essentially, what everybody's saying about the Battlehawks, about their win or their loss, wasn't that bad. It was a close one, all that, is what people should be saying about the Renegades. Look, the Battlehawks did not look good in that game against the Panthers, despite what Battlehawks fans online, or mainly, it's not even Battlehawks fans, it's mainly just guys who want, the Battlehawks to be successful because of their fan base, are saying the Battlehawks kept it really close. It was a great game. No, the Battlehawks played pretty terrible for half the game. But the Renegades, they played really well for half the game. Whereas the Battlehawks in the second half just played okay. The Renegades also did kind of falter in the second half. I think the Renegades win this. Look, I get it. They're plus 5, over-unders 41.5, and they're plus 180. The fact that the Battlehawks are minus 5 is crazy to me. Nothing we saw in week 1 justifies the Battlehawks being minus 5 favorites. Now, yes, I will say, the home field advantage is a big deal. That's why I think this game is a very tight one. Even though I have the Showboats score being much more of a lopsided score in theory, I still think that the Renegades probably end up winning this 28-27. Whether it be they go for 2, whether it be a TD or something. The fact is that we saw last week especially that Anthony Beck is not the best coach in the league like some people try to make out believe. I tried telling people that he wasn't a top-tier head coach, that he's just a great voice and great online and all that, but not actually a great head coach, and people flame me for it. And we saw that last week with his decision to go for 1 point instead of 3 points, which ended up being what cost him the game. It was not a fluke kick. It was a terrible call after a touchdown that essentially ended it. So I think that might end up biting them again. I think the Renegades probably pulled this one off by 1 point. The fact is that both Luis Perez and AJ McCarron, in my opinion, look kind of similar. I think that AJ did look a bit better than Luis Perez, but the fact is that Perez, all in all, until his interception, was a very solid quarterback. But I think the big difference is going to be the running game. I think that the running game that the Renegades has is going to be able to beat out the Battlehawks D-line. We saw that last week with Wes Hills, and I expect the Renegades to be able to do that again this week. Especially since I think that even though they don't have a running back as good as Wes Hills, I think their running back tandem they had last week is a bit better because Matt Colburn, once again, was a disappointment. So I think this isn't over, though. I think this is the first over of the season. I think that when you look at these two teams, they're going to be playing at St. Louis. There's going to be a lot of high-flying, action from them. But I think the Renegades end up edging this one out 28-27. Now, the Sunday games are where we get to the big one to a lot of people, the Stallions-Panthers. Was the Panthers game a fluke? Are they legit? Is their defense great? Is their offense just absolutely horrid? The Stallions are minus 6.5 point favorites. The over-under is a strict 41, and the money line has the Stallions at minus 285 and the Panthers at plus 230. Look, some would say 6.5 is a bit crazy, but I don't really think it's that crazy. The fact is that the Panthers, even though they were the better team against the Battlehawks, like I said before, we're now starting to question how good the Battlehawks offense is, and their defense was very exploitable. Whereas the Stallions, I don't know. Matt Corral looked to be getting it to gear in the second half. And pending how Adrian Martinez is, I don't know for sure if he's going to be able to play or not. But even if not, I'm pretty sure he is expected to play. And considering the fact that he looked really good running the ball, even though his passing game was kind of questionable, his running game was incredible. I actually think the Stallions end up winning this, but I do think the Panthers' defense is able to slow him down a lot. I think the Stallions are only able to put up 18 points, but the Panthers are only able to get 14. The fact is, I'm just not that confident in the Panthers' offense. Week 1 gave me no real reason to be confident in them, aside from the fact that, hey, they can run the ball well because they have a quarterback that can run and they have Wes Hills. But the Stallions are a much better team than the Battlehawks. They will be able to actually, stop the run a lot better than the Battlehawks would, I would assume. I think that the Renegades are proof of that. I think that the numbers the Renegades put up are what the Panthers are going to put up, which in comparison to the rest of the league is pretty good, but in actually being good running numbers aren't. I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think that the Stallions are able to slow them down. But I do think the Panthers cover. 6.5 is not crazy, but I will say that in a low-scoring game, which I expect this one to be, I think the Panthers win. Look, this is one of those cases where you got a defense that's really, really good. Even if it just plays a tad bit worse than it did against St. Louis, it's going to slow down this Birmingham offense to where the Panthers offense doesn't really have to score that much to keep this in it as a game. So I think this is going to be an under, and I think the Panthers do cover, but I think the Stallions do end up winning to get to 2-0. Then the DC versus Houston game. Yeah, DC is minus 5, not too shocked, but a little bit. The over-under is 41. Defenders are minus 238. Roughnecks are plus 195. Look, the fact is of this one is that a lot of people believe the Roughnecks are the worst team in the league now. We still know for sure about Mark Thompson, but I'm assuming he is going to play. But the fact is of the Roughnecks, it's just that they looked very much like the 2022 Gamblers, which is a good run game. Well, hopefully a great run game when Thompson's back. But essentially a running back and then a defense. Look, there's only so much, the receivers can do. Isaiah Henney did not have a good first game. And so there's a lot of things like that we have to see. Do they get fixed? Does a Henney play better? Was he hurt and, they played him? Was there issues involving the rest of the O-line? What's wrong? Is Garantano going to start again? We'll see. But overall, I think the Defenders win this game pretty easily. I think they win 27-17. Look, people are acting like the Defenders didn't put up a lot of points. You cannot view the Defenders as putting up 12. You have to view them putting up well over 20. When you have 2 touchdowns, not 1, but 2 called back on penalties that really did not affect the play at all, you have to view it as 2 touchdowns they did get. So when you view it like that, that team put up a decent amount of points against a Wade Phillips-led defense. So I think that overall, that even though this Roughnecks team is a very good defense, I think the fact is that their offense is going to give the ball away a lot more than the Brahmas did. And because of that, I think the Defenders are able to score basically a pretty similar amount to what they did against the Brahmas if you were to have counted those 2 touchdowns. So I think the Defenders end up winning this game pretty easily. Now again, if Mark Thompson does play, it leaves some room for, what could happen there is Mark Thompson is going to be able to carry the Roughnecks. I don't know for sure, but if he does play, I think the score is closer, but I think the Defenders are able to put up 27 points. I think this Roughnecks defense is going to be in for a rough surprise when they play against a quarterback like Jordan Teamu. I think that overall the Defenders are going to see what went wrong in their running back room a little bit and exploit that a bit more. Though, this might be a bit of a shocker to some people. The Roughnecks defense did play really well, but I wouldn't say it was the defense played insane. It was more just like 2022 where you had these impact players make huge plays, which I'd assume is going to happen the whole season. But even in 2022, we saw games where the Gamblers allowed a lot of points despite having great defensive performances. I think this is what's going to happen. That's why I'm picking the Defenders to win this game 27-17. So as for the overall record, first of all, I want to apologize. I didn't realize till like literally yesterday that I completely botched the end of the video and I didn't put the screen up. But this is the screen for the end. Revamped it a bit. We're continuing to spread over under money line, but restarting with the UFL. But now we have perfect game betting predictions. If I go 3 for 3 in a game, it gets a point. If I guess a team score, an exact team score perfectly, one there. And then what should almost never happen because it's football, and unless I have the script, which from what we understand, the UFL doesn't have one. If you know, you know. Perfect game score prediction is 0. I did get the Renegade score perfectly right, though, last week. In fact, I was only 3 points away from getting that game perfect. In terms of the perfect game betting predictions, I had 2 of them perfect. I had the Brahmas game correct, and I had the Stallions game correct. Now, the last game with the Roughnecks and Showboats, I got all 3 parts wrong, which dropped the score a lot. But if you eliminate that one, I was on a roll. I was 8 of 9 to start the year. So hopefully we'll be able to continue this, upward trajectory. This is a great start. We'll see what ends up happening. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified as soon as I upload any videos. I'm doing at minimum 3 videos a week. Power rankings on Tuesday, week review on Wednesday, and then game picks on Friday. And then naturally, if I have any other videos coming out, some will come out on Monday, some might come out on a Thursday. Just like how yesterday I had the opening week games come out, tier list. So be on the lookout for all that. And as always, have a great night.